pastures. And his goal was to determine the most efficient natural path to link the two areas. Now, while at first his path led him across established paths, where he ended up, which is in fact interesting, is 100 meters away from where the Iceman was found. So this is significant. In addition to this, recent excavations done in 1998, July 24th, 1998 to be exact, found 3 pieces of birch bark, and these were 50 meters from where the Iceman was found, the Tutsengood path. And these were carbon dated, placing the finds between 2,700 to 2,500 BC, which means even thousands of years after, 500 or so years after, it's still a very significant path for trade and the linkage of transhumans.
Just to get an idea of what time frame we're talking about here, this body was discovered, it was found to be alive back in 3100 BC. This is 600 years before the building of the Cheops pyramid. So that just gives you an idea of how back into antiquity it goes. Now, Stephen, you physically went there. You physically went to the museum. You saw the body, not a picture, not a video. You actually physically saw the body. Tell me in your own words, how did it affect you? When you saw it, what were your first impressions, and how did it affect you? What did you bring from that? What did you get from that?
Well, it was really interesting to see the body, especially if something I had been studying and reading about. The body is cased, as I mentioned, in a refrigerator of sorts, maintaining the same atmospheric conditions as a glacier, 100% humidity. And you can only see a limited view. You can see the face. The body is extremely desiccated. I believe it weighs the equivalent of 60 pounds. And it's just amazing. It's incredibly amazing to see this thing. In addition to the artifacts, which are all in pristine shape and extremely well preserved. And this is further an indicator of how well and how quickly he was covered up by ice, which has preserved the body and the materials in the area.
It was almost like a time machine that you felt that you went back into time and you had a glimpse of something that no one has ever seen before?
No, definitely. It was. And what's particularly interesting is how technologically advanced this man was for such an old, ancient person. This is 5,000 years ago, and the means by which he was able to adapt himself to his environment and to make use of just everyday things that he came across of is fantastic. There's still parallels today with reference to the birch bark container. Austrian housewives still hold embers, keep embers in newspaper, wrap them up in newspaper to start off flames. What the Iceman did, he wrapped them up in maple leaves. So there's still quite a few parallels.
Here's a question: could a person, a modern person, supposedly superior person, given the tools that the Iceman had, would he be able to survive under the same conditions? I think he would have a tougher go of it, to be honest with you.
I'm quite sure he would. I'm sure he would. And it's kind of funny. A lot of materials that the Iceman used were even better or had higher standards than materials today. In fact, his wooden bow, it's recommended that a wooden bow have at least 10-year rings. And basically the age and the hardness of the wood. The Iceman had 16. And the Iceman also fashioned this bow by himself. The bow is interesting, and it's the only unfinished bow ever found. We see the nick marks in the bow. We also see that there's no string put in yet. It's unpolished. And remarkably, as along with other bows, which are all made of the same material, yew was always chosen because it was in fact the most durable and the most resilient type of wood. We find that it lacks sapwood. Now, sapwood would ensure durability, and it's still a mystery as to why these bows and other bows found lack this material. And
did scientists try to reproduce the equipment and test it in terms of its effectiveness?
Yes.
Can you give us a little bit of information on that?
The most interesting material found was the axe, and this was actually the material that was used to determine his age. This was, they would have brushed him aside. Ah, this is a contemporary man. He's just a lone hiker that got lost and that unfortunate end. Now the axe is significant as it's made it's designed in a fashion prevalent in 2000 BCE. That's 1,000 years after the Iceman was found and where he lived. So it has an extremely advanced design, yet it is made from the first material man learned how to smelt, which is, that is to say, copper, which is extremely soft. It's made from wood that was taken off a tree branch, 90-degree angle, very sturdy. The blade is inserted 3/4 into the wood. There's a longitudinal slit to ensure max durability. The problem, however, now there's problems both with the copper that was smelted, which indicated that there was a bottleneck. There was an air gap in the material, and basically this was hardened and hit by the smelter, and there's still cracks seen. But in addition to that, the axe could have, because it was made from a soft material and given the structure, it would have to be done with quick, sharp movements. You could not just use one powerful thud, one powerful striking motion. It would have to be done within like 3 or 4 nicks.
How about the arrows, the bows? They were reproduced also in terms of scientists, and they discovered that they were pretty effective in terms of killing wild game.
Yes, the thing that's interesting to note about the bows were that majority of the bows were unfinished. Out of 12 bows, only 2 were finished. One of them was, as we mentioned, cracked, which would indicate a high-impact fall, because flint does not fracture easily. Now, the other bow is quite interesting, as it's a composite bow, which is made out of 2 different bows that were recycled by the Iceman. And this has parallels in other
2 different woods or 2 different bows?
2 different bows, 2 different arrow bows that were taken together, notched up at an end, and placed to make one. And this just emphasized the max amount of, basically they appreciated the time that was placed into these bows to make them, and it just indicates the importance of bows in his society, in Iceman's society. The bows are old-fashioned with feathers. They're very long. They're made of Iberian wood, max durability. The bows, the feathers, you have 3 fletchings, and they would ensure that the bow went straight and hit its target as it would spin, basically to ensure that it hit its target.
I also read that a company, an enterprising company, decided to reproduce the footwear of the Iceman. And
Yes.
It's actually selling it, and it's becoming a profitable business.
Yes, the footwear is extremely warm, and it has parallels nowadays. Eskimos wear similar type shoes with similar type insulation, and it's just amazing, just with just grass and simple netting, that he was able to have a shoe that prevented slippage, that was durable, and that was extremely warm.
With the DNA evidence and the X-rays, is there more to go on this? Is there more research that is being done on this with the advent of higher forms of technical investigations?
Yes, there's still research going on and studies coming out and new